Alright YouTube, back with another champion concept video. Today we are going to be going over the rework I did for Kayle. If you guys haven't already watched my Morgana rework, I would suggest going watching that as well, so you can get a breakdown of the other sister angel champion that I did. So also, if you guys like this sort of content, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I can keep making this sort of content for you guys. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so with Kayle's rework, Kayle, as opposed to my Morgana rework, I feel like Kayle needs a lot of changes in her kit. I feel Kayle she's very tunnel vision focused on that hyper carry style that champions like Tryndamere and Master Yi have, where you click one button and then you just go to town with auto attacks, and then every now and then you'll use your ultimate and then you become invincible. Now I know Master Yi doesn't have one of those, but Tryndamere does. That's kind of what the example I was using it for. So with Kayle, I did a very big overhaul of her kit. I kept some of her natural ability that, you know, I know Kayle players will like, but I changed a lot of it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. So we'll get right into the first ability, which is her passive. I changed her passive from a Holy Fervor to an ability called Slay the Wicked. So with this ability, I removed her entire old ability. So her passive. This passive no longer grants you know, extra damage for auto attacks. Now there's two parts to this ability actually. So the very first one is every X amount of seconds your next auto attack against enemy minion deals bonus magic damage, plus has an opportunity to be a melee execution when they are under 40% HP. So very similar to Aurelia's Q reset. Auto attacks on enemy champions, however, will apply Blazing Fervor, which will stack 4 times. After 4 consistent auto attacks, so when I say consistent, with somebody like Vayne, where if you switch auto attacks to a different target, her Silver Bolt's passive goes away. So that's what I mean by consistent. 4 consistent auto attacks. This will deal holy damage over time, so like a fire damage over time, and also allows Kayle to heal off of her next auto attacks for X amount of seconds. This will go away if Kayle autos another target too long, and Runean's does not apply this effect as well. So there's a lot of changes in this just in her passive. The first thing is this Blazing Fervor ability. I wanted to do this so, you know, once you start to deal damage, once you start to auto attack somebody for a while, you will start to do a good amount of damage, slightly different than her, you know, her old one. But now Kayle is actually able to heal off of these auto attacks. I think that's the biggest change in my mind. And then also, this is just a good trading tool now. So when Kayle's fighting those type of, you know, really aggressive bruiser fighter matchups like Fiora, like Jax, she's going to be able to, once she procs her Blazing Fervor, she's going to be able to auto attack these champions and gain health back to kind of stay in that you know, stay above them and you know, in health. Also, this is a very good way of wave clearing now. Kayle's old wave clear was literally she has to use her E to wave clear. Most Kayles wouldn't walk up and auto attack. So this gives her a lot more wave clear ability in lane, and I think it's just a better ability from the bland old passive that she did have. And we'll get into the first ability, which is Reckoning. I kept Reckoning very similar. I did make this ability now a skill shot. If you guys can see here with this little red dot with this white zone area, this is what the kind of the skill shot would look like. So she's able to hit everybody in this white area here, this dotted line area, which is right in the middle. If she hits a target with this particular area, they will be dealt holy damage. Now holy damage is a magic penetration damage spec that is mixed with a damage over time effect. So what happens is they will be hit with magic pen damage, as well as, or damage that is already buffed with magic pen, and then they will also be taking damage over time for a few seconds. This ability deals bonus magic damage to minions. I feel like giving this ability, I think more click-on abilities need to be made skill shots. I think having a ton of point and click abilities in the game is really bad for the kind of the healthy, you know, way that the game is going into. You know, the game is becoming more skill shot based, and I think that we need to keep that you know, keep that momentum going with reworks, and changing an ability like this, I think, adds a lot of that. This gives Kayle a ton of extra trading damage too. Hitting somebody with that center area of this ability is going to add a lot of damage to them. You may be enough to win a win a trade, or even snipe them with this ability. It's going to give her a lot more kill pressure, I should say, as well, before she hits level 6, which I think is where a lot of Kayle players and people who play against Kayle can kind of see, is that she doesn't have a ton of kill pressure until she hits 6. So I kind of wanted to make her damage a little more up front this time, and not just having it based on her ultimate. Her second ability, which was Divine Blessing, I changed this ability to Mark of the Holy and Unholy. So I removed her healing ability. This no longer heals herself. I felt like having a point and click ability yet again that was just healing and adding a speed boost, it was really outdated. When Kayle first came out, it was probably a good ability. Not now. This is a very, 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 very outdated ability. So with this ability now, it is an area of effect target location ability. This target ability channels at a particular location for 2.5 seconds. Kayle casts a circle of heavenly fire, dealing magic damage and marking the targets inside with Unholy Sigil. Unholy Sigil empowers Kayle's next 4 auto attacks against the target, and Unholy Marks last for about 15 seconds if not auto attacked. So with this, she's able to throw this down, and then her next 4 auto attacks on that champion or on that target will deal more damage. So this is also adding to her new wave clear abilities, where she can throw this down on a wave, basically prep the wave, and then go in and auto attack, go in and use some other abilities to kind of clear a wave out. And also, when she's fighting against these really tanky champions, she can drop this on top of them and then just start auto attacking away, and she's going to start building up. This also stacks with her normal passive, which is going to allow her to do a ton of auto attack damage, and it's kind of being used in a different way than what it was in her old ability. Can also target allied champions, granting a Holy Sigil. This works as a ticking health regen for about 6 seconds. You'll see it kind of tick on the side of the allied champion. This ability now has a ton of utility. If you guys have seen my Morgana rework, I gave her Black Shield / Corrupting Shield, a second ability. I think this adds a lot of utility to these type of champions, having these a very supportive CC type of hybrid champions who can now both do offensive and defensive things. Now with this ability, I fear it would be a little too strong if it wasn't given either very high manage usage or a higher cooldown at lower ranks. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm preferably leaning more towards having a high cooldown. I think having it being in the 15 18 second range is probably very good, rather than having it be a very high mana costing ability. But like I said, you guys let me know in the comments, because I'm very curious to see what people say about these kind of abilities. The third ability, Righteous Fury, I kept this ability very, very similar. I thought this was a good ability. I just felt the rest of Kayle's kit really didn't match the effectiveness of this ability. So this ability still grants Kayle the ability to use ranged auto attacks for a certain amount of seconds, and also still having that area of effect for these auto attacks. Now, one thing I will say is the damage boost that you get from this ability, I would lower it very, very dramatically, to the point where if you're just using this, it just feels like a normal auto attack, maybe a little bit stronger than a normal auto attack. The point is to use the Unholy Sigil effect from her W to cast bonus magic damage now on these targets. So a lot of her damage is still intact if she's able to land her W, land her Q, and then start using her E, which is then proccing her passive. She's gonna have more damage ramping up, but her output at the very beginning of a fight is gonna be a lot lower. Changing her power spike, I think, is what would make Kayle, I think, a little bit more balanced. That way she's not completely able to just click E, auto attack 3 times with 2 or 3 attack speed items, and it's just going to melt anybody. I think this helps a lot with her kit. And like I said, this ability would have, in my mind, it has the same amount of damage as a very fed Kayle would. It's just spread out now over other abilities, so she needs to be able to get to step 3 instead of just clicking her E and doing a bunch of damage. And then the final ability here, which is probably my favorite part of her kit, is Intervention, which is her old ultimate, but now it is called Reincarnation. So we remove the invulnerability from this ability. We remove the invulnerability from this Yeah. So this old ability used to just make you impervious to damage for about 2 or 3 seconds. I feel like any sort of ability like that in the game is just it hasn't been done right. Trendamere, I don't think, is a very good example of it, and neither is Kayle. So we're going to completely remove that. And now this ability has a new passive and an active. So the passive is, this ability will only become active when Kayle is around fallen allied champions. I'm thinking within maybe 500, 600 range. I think that's a good range for being able to activate this ability. Once this ability becomes active, you can target fallen allied champions, and this will activate a countdown ability on their location, which will last about 6 seconds of a channel. So there is no such thing as a countdown ability in the game, and what I mean by that is, it is a channel ability that you cannot interrupt by CCing. So Kayle, when Kayle casts this ability, it's sort of like a ritual. She's able to move around, she can attack, she can go do other things, she can be CC'd, and this ability will still go off. The only way to get this ability to stop working is to kill Kayle. That's how you stop a countdown ability. So if this ability is counting down and Kayle dies before the countdown is complete, the ability will cease to work. It'll just negate the actual ability. But if the ability does go off, the target ally will respawn at that location with X amount of percentage HP, and also will deal AoE magic damage to enemy targets around the respawn area. The scaling of the health that you would get from respawning would have to be between, you know, an AP ratio bonus from Kayle as well as how long it took you to respawn that person. So let's say death timers are like 60 seconds and you revive them within the first 10 seconds of them dying. They're probably going to have more health than they would if they were closer to, you know, the 5 or 10 seconds left on their death timer. I feel like having an ability like this would actually be a very good, healthy, game-changing ability. Can you imagine like walking over to a Baron pit and your teammate is dead, and you just respawn them, walk around the Baron pit, and start fighting, and as they respawn, you guys can kind of pinch them? I think this would be a good ability. I would love to see this ability actually work in professional play. I think it'd be very, very good. It'd be a better version of Zillion, in my opinion, because Kayle could play really, really well as a side laner. But that does my rework here. Let me know what you guys think. Also, build paths. What build path do you think this Kayle build would actually, or this version of Kayle would actually go? Let me know in the comments. Like I said, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.